Princess Goldenhair. Long ago, there lived a king who wanted more than just to rule. What if I could understand the language of all animals, he often wondered. He heard that to gain such power, one had to eat the meat of a serpent with a golden crown on its head. So he gave a command to his hunters. "Bring me that serpent." When the serpent was brought, the king ordered his loyal servant Georgie to cook it. But he warned him sternly, "Don't you dare taste it. I alone shall eat it and gain its power." Georgie cooked the serpent carefully and attentively, making sure not a single piece was lost. As the serpent simmered, a drop of broth splashed from the boiling pot and landed on Georgie's hand. Without thinking, Georgie licked his finger to ease the sting. Suddenly, he felt a strange lightness, and the world seemed to whisper to him in voices he had never heard before. He stepped out into the courtyard, where two little birds were singing on a tree branch. Suddenly, their song made perfect sense to him. "Oh, brother," chirped the first bird, "if only people knew about Princess Goldenhair. Her beauty shines like the morning sun on the surface of a lake. Her hair is pure gold, and her eyes are like cornflowers in bloom." The second bird nodded. "Anyone who sees her will feel their hearts soften. But she is hidden far beyond 9 mountain ranges, guarded by the king of her land. Only the chosen one can reach her." Meanwhile, the king entered the kitchen, sensing that something was wrong. When Georgie returned to the room, the king eyed him sharply. "Why are you so pale? What did you hear?" Georgie hesitated, but the king's gaze was so intense that he had no choice but to tell the truth. With a heavy heart, Georgie told the king what the birds had said about Goldenhair, a princess so beautiful that no other could compare. The king listened carefully, and the more he heard about her, the more obsessed he became. "I must have her," he cried. The king fixed Georgie with a stern look. "Since you broke my command, you will go and bring me Goldenhair. If you fail, your life is forfeit." Georgie realized the king was serious. He sadly said goodbye to his friends and set off on a journey from which he might never return. As Georgie entered a deep forest, he saw an ant hill that someone had cruelly trampled. "Poor little ants," he sighed. He knelt down and gently rebuilt their home. The ants thanked him in tiny voices, voices only he could hear. Georgie continued on his journey until he reached a river. There he saw several fish trapped in a shallow, drying pool. "Help us, Georgie," the fish called out. "We'll die without water." Without a second thought, Georgie carefully carried them one by one into the deeper stream. "Thank you," the fish whispered gratefully as they disappeared into the flowing river. He walked on and came upon a thicket where he found an overturned beehive with honey spilling out. The bees were buzzing in panic. Georgie gently picked up the hive, placed it back on the tree branch, and calmed them. "Don't worry, your home is safe again." The buzzing softened, and the bees thanked him quietly as peace returned to the forest. After many days of travel, Georgie finally reached a distant land where the Princess Goldenhair lived. From afar, he could see a grand castle surrounded by lush gardens filled with flowers and tall trees. Georgie felt his journey's goal drawing near. As Georgie stepped into the gardens, he suddenly saw her. Princess Goldenhair was even more beautiful than he had imagined. Her long golden hair shone like sunlight, and her smile could melt even the coldest heart. For a moment, Georgie forgot to breathe. But the moment didn't last. Suddenly, royal guards appeared and surrounded the stranger. "Who are you, and why have you come here?" demanded the king, Princess Goldenhair's father. Georgie answered truthfully. He had come to bring Princess Goldenhair to his own king, who wished to marry her. The king gave a slight smile. "If you want to take Princess Goldenhair, you must first complete the tasks I give you. Your first task is this. Silver pearls have been scattered across the garden. You must collect every single one before sunset. Not a single pearl may be missing." Georgie stared at the lawn, glittering with tiny pearls, and felt hopeless. But then he heard a faint rustling. From the grass came the ants he had helped earlier. "Don't despair, Georgie. We will help you." In just a short while, all the pearls were gathered neatly in Georgie's astonished hands. When the king and his court saw that all the pearls had been collected, surprise swept through them. Princess Goldenhair looked at Georgie with a spark of interest and wonder. "I see you are no ordinary traveler," the king said thoughtfully. "Let's see how you handle the next task." The next day, the king summoned Georgie once again. "You were lucky yesterday," he said, "but now you face something much harder. While Princess Goldenhair was drifting across the lake in a little boat, she dropped her ring into the deep water. You must find it. Otherwise, you will never return home." Georgie sat sadly by the lake, wondering how he could ever reach the bottom. The depths were dark and unreachable. But then something glittered beneath the surface, and the fish he had once saved rose from the water. "Don't worry, Georgie," they called. "We'll bring you the ring." Soon, one of the fish surfaced and gently placed the ring into Georgie's palm. When Georgie showed the ring to the king, no one at court could believe their eyes. "How is this possible?" the king muttered to himself, more and more astonished and uneasy. Princess Goldenhair gazed at Georgie with growing admiration. Now, the king knew he had to set a task that couldn't be completed by luck alone. "The final task," he said, "will decide your fate. Tomorrow, 12 young women will appear before you. They will all look exactly alike. If you can tell which one is Princess Goldenhair, your mission is complete." The next day, Georgie stood before 12 equally beautiful girls, each identical to the others. He looked from one face to the next in despair. Which one was the real Goldenhair? He had no idea, and hopelessness began to set in. But then Georgie heard a quiet, familiar buzzing. It was the bee whose hive he had once saved. She flew in, circled above the girls, and gently landed on the lips of the right one. Georgie's heart leapt. He knew at once which one was Goldenhair. Without hesitation, Georgie pointed to the girl with the bee. "This one is Goldenhair," he said firmly. The princess smiled and stepped forward. "It's true. I am Goldenhair," she said clearly. The entire court gasped in amazement. Princess Goldenhair looked closely at Georgie and, for the first time, truly saw him. This man had proven himself worthy of respect. She saw his kindness, humility, and quiet courage, and though she barely knew him, something in her heart began to believe they were meant to meet. The king no longer delayed Georgie. Princess Goldenhair gathered her things, and together they began the long journey back. They traveled slowly, with plenty of time to talk. Goldenhair listened with amazement as Georgie told her everything he had endured, and with each step, he won her heart a little more. The more time they spent together, the more they understood one another. Goldenhair saw Georgie's kindness and humility and admired his quiet courage. Georgie, in turn, felt he had never known anyone more gentle or more beautiful than the princess at his side. And yet, the thought of returning to his king weighed heavily on him. When they arrived, the king welcomed them with undisguised joy. He marveled at Goldenhair's beauty and immediately announced a grand wedding. Everyone began preparing for a great feast, but Princess Goldenhair remained silent. The king assumed her silence meant consent, but the princess had yet to say a single word about marrying him. All eyes turned toward her, and tension in the royal court grew with every passing moment. The wedding day arrived. Surrounded by nobles and guests, Princess Goldenhair stood calmly and gracefully before the gathering. The king smiled confidently. "Now tell us, princess," he said impatiently, "do you agree to become my wife?" Goldenhair slowly looked around the room and answered in a clear voice, "No, my king, I have chosen another. Here stands the one who won me honestly and deserves my love." And she pointed to Georgie. Everyone stood frozen. The king turned red with rage, but before he could speak, Goldenhair continued firmly, "Only Georgie succeeded in completing the tasks that proved who is truly worthy of me. Only he holds my heart." The king could not deny her choice. That very day, Georgie and Goldenhair were married. The people of the kingdom rejoiced in the princess's wise decision. Even the king, though bitter, had to accept that a good and honest heart is worth more than power or riches. Everyone saw clearly how kindness and goodness return to those who share them. Georgie and Goldenhair ruled their kingdom with justice and love for many years, surrounded by peace, respect, and friendship from all living creatures. And so, once again, the old fairy tale truth was proven. A kind heart and selfless deeds are always rewarded in the end.